G'day, doggies fans, all things Bulldogs. It's the round 14 review. Just got home from Sydney just today, and Jetstar lost my baggage, but that's okay. It's only full of all my Bulldogs gear. I'll just wait around for a few people to join. Obviously, there's some other podcasts going that have been going for a while, and I'm on later than usual. I'll do my normal podcast either tomorrow night or Thursday night. I'm not sure yet. Need to spend some time with my family. But I just had to come out here while everything's fresh and talk about this review from yesterday's game. Welcome to those who've jumped on. G'day, Shreg. G'day, old fella Dave. And g'day, Joby. And it was a great pleasure meeting you yesterday, my friend. What a great day it was. Yeah, and your Raiders mate's a gentleman as well. So, yeah, that was great to see you, mate. And hear about some of your footy knowledge and whatever else. And everyone's having a good old little chat before the game. It was a great atmosphere and loved every bloody minute of it. Back to work tomorrow. G'day, Sayed. Welcome. How good was it, mate? How good was it? We're going to get into it. I watched it again on my phone last night. I still haven't watched it on the TV. That'll be tonight. I'll have to do that. But, yeah, I tried to watch on my phone. I was falling asleep. But I was like, just trying to look for all the different little moments, the extra effort stuff. But watched a bit of 100% footy on the way home. I downloaded it, some of the clips from YouTube, listened to what Gus had to say. And I'll tell you what, I just love, it's for my own ego, but when you say a lot of stuff, when you've been watching the games and hear Gus to say, if you've been watching the games, you would notice, and what do I say all the time? That doesn't really matter who's in what position. They're all swapping around. They all fill the hole in defence. They in attack. They get into the position and they can all do what they got to do. So they're able to adapt to all seasons. And when you hear Gus talk about that, just to validate that, makes you feel good because you're not hearing it anywhere else. They're sitting there going, oh, no, they've got to be the 7. Oh, no, they've got to be the 6. And on Foxtel and on everywhere, it's like, oh, he's not a 7. He's not a 6. Well, in our system, it doesn't frigging matter. And there's quite a few of you have realised that, and you know that as well. But there's so many people who just get caught up in the emotion of the Hollywood moments, as I call them, and the scoreboard, which, 30-12, when you have that much possession, we could have won by 50. Parramatta have tried their hearts out, and our crowd gave it to them all game. It was great. Up the Dogs. Thank you, Tommy. Or TM. Everyone stepped up. Oh, how good was it? Welcome, Joe. What a win. Hey, Sam. Welcome. How many offloads did Carraz have? What a beast. 4 players couldn't stop the offload to score the try for the Galvin. Yeah, well, they call it Galvin's try and everything. He had two parts in that play, and he was actually setting up for the next play, but had the nous to follow through when he saw it was on. And, a tiny bit of work to do, but no one was going to stop him scoring that try. I reckon if he had a couple of players there, he would have got it. But the effort of Tracy in that moment, the effort of Carraz, and then back to Tracy, Curran playing his part, linking up. That was just the key all day, the support play, the chase, players running from one side of the field to the other. That's the stuff I was starting to see. I got a good message from me good mate who just loves watching all the off-the-scene stuff, just focusing on a player, the players doing their effort stuff. Just sit there and rewind back, watch one player for 5 minutes, stuff that I do because I enjoy it. It's a bit obsessive, I know, but you when you do that, you actually see a player coming across, from one side of the field to the other, and then they get back in position, and they get to the other side because they're trying to stop a break and stop whatever else. Players like Josh Curran, Harry Hayes, Bailey Hayward. But people probably felt Hayward isn't as effective as a starter because he's sort of nullified a little bit. He made that mistake, but it's sort of the same as Salmon. Once they're not there, you don't realise. And what they're doing with Hayward at the moment, if you got to understand, is that the easy option is to put Man in and start, or the easy option next week would be to start Turpin. And they might start Turpin, you don't know, but they're trying to get that heat in the game resilience for their up and coming player in Bailey Hayward. And it's a different type of heat to when you go out and you stand on an edge and play 5'8". Still a lot of work to do. You got to kick the footy, you got to organise everything, get both sides of the field, defend when under sufferance. But playing in the middle and also being first receiver, both sides of the ruck on a few times a set, getting that wrestle happening, making numerous tackles, getting hit at the line when you're engaging for the shape. It's a different beast when you're starting to when you're coming on. And that's the sort of stuff that, our club, all I'm going to say is Cameron Ciraldo, I was going to write it in the title instead of just put a picture of myself drinking a beer. Because he's just got the biggest balls that I've ever seen. I haven't seen them, but they must be huge. The testosterone is flowing in that man. And the reason I say that, because in the face of all the narratives, and look, I'm not as strong. I'm like, don't play Galvin this week. Don't play him this week. Don't give him what they want. No, he's going to help us win. In my opinion, he'll help us. That's what Ciraldo thought on Saturday. Tells Gus what he's doing. Manages up. I'm going to play him. I think we can win with him. But I think there's some perspective needs to be had as well around Galvin, and he's not going to get a better platform than to come in, even though it was only 2 points and could have went pear-shaped under pressure. They were going to submit Parramatta after what we'd put them through, for that period, for that 8 to 16 minutes, that 15-minute block after that early, second half where we're down to 12 men. Once kick-out come on, that next 15 minutes, we just absolutely tortured the Eels. They couldn't do anything. And that really set it up. And, and a player with skill and speed like Galvin, I thought his passing was really good. It looks the part, was really good. But Toby Sexton able to just jump in a dummy half and seeing things from a sevens point of view with less time to think. It's actually, I saw it a bit with Flanagan. Like, they've just got this ability to, they don't have to think as much, so they just rely on that halfback instinct. And I see with Hayward as well, like they're just able to bring the players onto the ball a little bit more. Now, they don't do that as effectively if they're out there like Reid Marnie and making 42 tackles in 55 minutes. Doesn't work that way, right? But for 25 minutes at the end of a game, even though he'd been, worked over a bit on the edges, Toby had a really good game, actually. He did have a good game. You just want him to break through and score a try off a line break that he creates. You want him to get that little kicking that ball through and get things set up. Got a repeat set. He did a lot of good things. Defensively, he was really putting in. He got knocked over by Paulo early, but that didn't faze him. And then went into hooker, and you could give him another $100,000 a year, whoever is going to buy him, because he can do that job too. I've no doubt. Tackling 92%, 92% efficiency as a 7 is pretty bloody good. He wasn't getting anywhere near that before being put to reserve grade for the first 10 rounds last year. A lot of comments, so everyone's pumped. I thought the boys played so well. I watched on the TV as soon as I got home and I was up late. Yeah. Well, as I said, I was up since 2:30 that day. I couldn't get back to sleep. I was so pumped for the game, and we were hammering the beers. Got shouted too many. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Joby. Much appreciated. My brother kept shouting them to me as well. So I was very happy. So yeah, I've rewatched it twice now. Once I got back home from the game, and once today. Yeah, I'll be watching it again tonight. Perez was a dead set octopus, getting offloads away with 3 and 4 on him. He actually got 8 for the day. So we'll have a look at the stats shortly, and how dominant we were as a team and with our individuals. It was massive. You probably already had a look at it, most of you, but we'll show it. G'day, gratitude. Joe said Sexton looked good at 9. A little concerned about Marnie. He was gutted. Yeah, look, Reed's a pretty emotional guy. I don't care if he doesn't think he's that. I'm about to listen to his podcast, which is coming out shortly. Reed, I don't know Reed Marnie. This is just a perception thing. But perception's reality. If people think something about you, you've just got to own it. Doesn't mean they're right. But if that's what they think of you, they're right in their eyes, and that's all that matters to them. But when it comes to that sort of stuff, he's an 80-minute player. But he played hard, and he actually, that was probably the best game he's had against Para since coming to the Bulldogs. And it wasn't like Toby did well, but that doesn't mean you just go and start Toby at 9. We'll have issues if that happens defensively. You got to work to that. Got to work to that ability. But that's just another feather in Toby's cap, and it's the coach has got balls. He's just able to sit there and trust and believe. Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be able to do it. He's been doing it since day one, 2023. It cost us heaps of points in some games. He's like, I've got to see if this person under pressure is going to rise to the occasion, or if they're going to fall away. You know what I mean? A bit of an old saying. And the Bulldogs right now are rising. They're thriving. As the going gets tough, the tough get going. And they knew. It was just another game where we tortured our opposition for 80 minutes, even with a player off, and even though we were nervous and the Sutton factor and all that sort of stuff. And Viliami Kikau's been Big Viliami has been exonerated. So that call was absolute BS. And you got to blame the bunker for it as much as Sutton, unfortunately. But Moses milked it. Completely milked it. Overplayed it, as he always does. And it's a bit of karma, I reckon. If you're using karma as some sort of natural justice mechanism, which I don't think it's supposed to be that, but that's how we talk about it. He got his just desserts because he's always putting the arms up and screaming for shit. Just get on and play, Mitch. Get up. Play. I was up high. Galvin really dug in deep in the line, straightened up the attack. I felt, yeah, he did. He did. He actually he straightened it up really well, to be honest. Honestly, I've gone and watched. I was watching his Tigers games and that, trying to get a real feel for him. And I've watched plenty of his games anyway, but just focusing on him, which you don't have time to do normally. But yeah, he was actually sort of like really straightening it up, like sort of off the left. Kurt Mann, the try for Harry Hayes, that was brilliant. And that's why Kurt Mann doesn't come on and start, right? Kurt doesn't start because Kurt is better off the bench with that footwork. The Newcastle Knights fans know this. They knew this back then. He's gone to another level, I believe, with the trust and belief. But yeah, when they started running him off the bench, and you got to give kudos to O'Brien for that. Started playing him off the bench, leg speed through the middle. But what he's doing at Canterbury, he's doing a little bit more. He's straight away you could see it. Comes onto the ball, sort of backs back, gets around, gets on the outside, and gets something going. They're worried he's going to do that. He can step off both feet, and then you see because he's got that variation in what he does, then he's able to make that break like he did. And Bailey Hayward will be able to do that well. He can step. We saw that finally when he ran at a very important time to get us a try in a very important game. We, it's. I just love seeing how, and this is why I love when Galvin talked when he came to the club, how Ciraldo gave him all these positional instructions of all the position he could play and sort of what he expects from the role and that sort of stuff. And for him to study and work on and look at videos and all that sort of shit. Not just, you're not the 7 or you're not the 6. And I'm already seeing fans a little bit, a little bit Rain Man-like, putting up team lists saying that Galvin has to go to Galvin has to be the 7 now for this week. Galvin's going to go to 6, but I'm sure he'll demand the ball when he wants it, and we'll see how good he goes. The big test for Lockie Galvin is how he can go for 80 minutes in this Bulldogs side defensively, and they're going to hit him. That's for sure. But he'll be on the left edge. He'll be with kick out. He'll be threatening them to run at Galvin. And obviously we'll have Bronson Cherry there, and Corraz will be on the right-hand side with Blake Wilson. I will worry a little bit about that edge. Preston coming back with Toby. It's been the edge which has conceded the most. But that's what I think will be. It'll be a great test for us. The sides, it's going to be a good game against Souths. But our side, like I look at it and go, God, when I was writing out the predicted list, which I got the top 17 completely spot on, Nostradamus. Very happy with that. But it, like when you got your eyes open and you're watching what they're doing, you're getting 16 of the squad right every week anyway, out of the 17. There was some talk. People would think that Hughes would come in, and I thought he might come in for DSF in the final squad against Parra yesterday. But no, he played pretty well in New South Wales Cup, scored a try. But yeah, I actually we got to meet the chairman or the vice chair, John, and he was very, very excited and happy. This was at the end of the reserve grade game, and he pretty much like it was very predictable. Yeah, Lockie will be going in for Matty Burton, and they knew that when Matty was named on Sunday night, like they'd already decided that. So he'll be thrown. That's going to be a big test, and our media will be there with all the narratives. And that's another thing we've really got to applaud Ciraldo. He's got some nuts, because I can tell you now, even Danny Wheeler, who obviously has a good connection with Gus, a journalist loves a narrative. It's their life. It's their job. They like creating them. They like, just like we do. Every time we're writing out our own team lists about who should play, we're creating a story. And these stories are what we sign up for. This is what they talk about. This is, like, I get really critical of them and call them some names and whatever else. And, I'm not beyond reproach either. But the fact of the matter is, while sometimes it's insidious to some of the shit that they do, from their own point of view, I don't think they feel that way. I think that they more so love the narratives and just all the possibilities and how that can drive a discussion, and they love the drama. But when they say that Galvin and the club and Ciraldo and Gus would be, if we lost that game against Para, and if Galvin played, and if he didn't play well, or even if Toby and Reed had really poor games, there were so many narratives that were being made as excuses if things went wrong. And I was at the point where I was like, don't play him, don't play him, because I just didn't want to give him that. And Ciraldo said, nah, fuck you. Not only is he going to play, he's going to help us win. Seeing what he saw at training and whatever else. Now, this is a narrative, because they may have already predetermined that he was going to play, right? You don't know. But I do believe when they say this, and you might as well. I'd rather believe the club, knowing that not everything's always the way it comes out, of course. We're not born yesterday, but I'd rather back the club than these people who are paid to make shit up for a living. You know what I mean? So when this guy's sitting there, and even Buzz last night, I watched NRL 360, and the questions of Toby, oh, it must be so hard. It must be so hard. Poor Toby. Yeah. Toby, look, if you're watching 2 weeks ago, and a lot of people were, it was, we had an average audience of about 90 people. We got 2,000 more viewers than the rivals. And they're not rivals, the fellow podcasters who I watch all their stuff and I'm a subscriber, right? Now, these people come here because of what I wrote in me headlines. And that was about all the media shit, right? Now, I said from the start, I said, our boys, I reminded everyone that the Haywoods, the Hazes, the Lipoi, Hopboys, and more, when new players come to our club, the Jacob Prestons, the Jacob Carrazas, they didn't care about reputations. They didn't care about what people's salaries were. They just got to work. They worked harder. The kids in the flag side, they were talking about them. But when you actually hear the stories, where the start time's like 6 a.m. or 6:30 or something for the early people, and then one kid starts arriving at 6:15, then another kid tries to beat him and he gets there at 6. Then next minute you're getting a whole bunch of kids rocking up when it's dark at 5 a.m. going back to the pre-seasons and stuff. It's like they're just that determined to accept the challenge and live and breathe football. Now, you got to have a work-life balance and all that, and Canterbury's doing a really good job with that as well. Lots of kids getting involved in academy stuff and doing a lot of, different trades and tech courses and whatever else, university stuff. Lots of diversified focus for the kids. But the point I'm trying to make is that they just accept the challenge, and Toby Sexton accepted that challenge. 100% accepted it. And he was told to go to hooker. He's like, oh, whatever's best for the team, whatever's best for the club. Yeah, I was looking at Reed a little bit and people going and shaking. They showed some footage there, and I was like, yeah, well, we just won. But he's an 80-minute player. He wants to play. He wants to be there when the siren goes when we win. But he's probably thinking, I really want to be here when we win 3 premierships or make 3 grand finals or whatever it is. I want to be a part of it. I'm probably not going to be. And get ready, guys, because I reckon, it might not only within 3 years, I reckon more than half of that 17 won't even be at the club. Or they won't be in the top 17. It's not long away. That's how much talent we've got. And like in that New South Wales Cup game, they swapped the back line around about 4 times. Had people going from centre to wing to fullback to the halves to different areas because they're trying to work stuff out and they're trying to – it cost us points. There's some classy tries by Wests, by people who we've paid money for as first graders like Brent Naden and and they had Royce Hunt on the playing and a whole bunch of others. Well, g'day, Matt. Oh well, Matt, I don't necessarily agree with that. But perception's reality. That's your perception of him, Matty. But you can make up your own narrative if you want. I'll tell you the narrative is that they went out there and gave their all. They played their ass off. Now, Bailey Hayward made a mistake, but the plan was always to swap in with Kurt Mann or to come on and be replaced at some point. He was playing Salmon's role. To me, it was business as usual. And they already started replacing Reid Marnie weeks ago. If it wasn't for Origin and buys, that plan would still have been in continuation. If it wasn't for all those suspensions that we copped in that Brisbane game where it started, it would be business as usual. Reid's also just done a podcast as well. I don't think Toby's comments were weird at all. I think he was asked the questions and he tried to give a pretty honest answer. So look, if we want to sit there and inflame that it's not all rosy, they couldn't have played with that patience and that resilience in that game if there was problems. Humanity says that you're going to carry a little bit of pressure with a game like rugby league, and you've only got so many years to play it, and you're trying to get a permanent gig, and the club that you want to be at isn't sort of playing ball. But that's for every player every year. We can sit every season. This is an issue, but people want to blow it up because Galvin's coming in on 700 grand or whatever. Don't do the work for the media. I was watching Brace podcast and he's sitting there having I've got to give me opinion and all that. I love Braith and Astor as a player, and for the most part, I really enjoy him as a host. But when he attacked Fogarty, not looking at where Fogarty come from, is only his third season as a half. He's already had a season out with ACL. He missed a few drop goals in a semi-final, and he basically wrote him off as not being cut of the right stuff. He was asking for the football and kept asking for it. He kept pulling the trigger. He kept trying. And they lost by a point or so. And all the points that they got in that game, in that semi, a lot of them were attributed to Jamal Fogarty's play with his kicking game and his passing and all that sort of stuff. And I feel that's a massive conflict of interest. When you've only got halfbacks on your register as a player agent who are all looking for gigs, right? Easy to make that correlation. He did that. He'd never been that bad since. The only other issue I've now had with Braith is to sit there on live television and tell people that you've got someone high up in the Bulldogs telling you a player is going to be dropped 18 days before the game. I think that's disgraceful. You don't have to do that as a host of a show. You can give your opinion. You don't have to release or say you've got secret information. Sam Hughes hasn't been named in the weekend team this week as well. He won't be happy considering Max is out and he still can't make the 17. So Sam is still coming back from injury. And I actually spoke to the chairman yesterday about Sam, and that's exactly what he said. He's just getting miles in his legs. And Daniel Saluka Fafita did a great job. That happens to every club. I'm not sure, Matt. Like we talk really candidly with each other, and we're not idiots. We're not born yesterday. I think that and I know you know your stuff, but he won't be happy. He'll be happy. He'll be play his part at some point. You see, this Bulldog side has a role, and I keep saying it to people. They don't play. Josh Curran is the second prop in the club right now. So when Max King's not there, so Max King's number one. When Max King goes out, they get the next prop who can play the similar amount of minutes to Max King, which is Josh Curran. And then Harry Hayes moves into that bench role, and he'll replace the big bopper in the side, which is Daniel Saluka Fafita at the moment. So you either got Saluka Fafita in the side, or you've got Sam Hughes. And look, there's still a chance he could be elevated to the squad, right? It's one day after the game, and we don't play till Sunday. And they'll probably say that, oh, we had no time to get anything, so we've just put a side out. I'm pretty confident that's the 17 that's going to run out, unless there's an injury or something. Now, Sam Hughes, when he's sitting there, he's not thinking, oh, I'm going to leave now. Because I'll tell you something now, Sam Hughes is signed for next year. Daniel Saluka Fafita isn't. Saluka Fafita is a potential enforcer in the game of rugby league, and he's a player that plays for 20 minutes, the first 20, as hard as he can. They'll bring him off after 17 or 18 if he's out of puff. Who do they replace him with? Harry Hayes. The next replacement, when King goes off, is Lipboy Hopboy or Kurt Mann. Just depends how they're looking at things, who's gassed and who's not. Now, when you get your little fellas in there like a Bailey Hayward who's doing a Jamin Salmons role, they're going to target him, just like they're going to target Reed, which is exactly what happened. He gassed out a bit. His ball movement doesn't come as good. So they make a replacement. That's what the interchange is for. It's how they keep that system going of, grind, keep it in play, kick deep, big long fence of blue and white, 10 players wide minimum every set. Restrict their meters to 30, 35 if they can. Try and be catching the ball with the Parramatta defensive line a long way away and get out to your 20 as a minimum every time. And when you start winning the war, you start getting it from the 30. And all of a sudden, you're just running downhill. And you do that for long enough, keep turning the ball inside, run a few plays. Hadn't played for 18 days. It was a bit of clunkiness there, but they also set some things up with the choices they made. And they did other things later in the game, which were a product of the work they did earlier, which we know about. Yeah. But Daniel Saluka Fafita has performed so well in the role that Hughes was ahead of him in. And there's, none of those players are in the conversation for Origin jumpers, or Hughes is not even near his potential yet. Like, they've got big high hopes for him to be able to play 35, 40 minutes in a game without a problem. And he did a couple of times. But it's a stage sort of thing that they've got to do. I don't think they'll ever get that out of Saluka Fafita, but Saluka Fafita has that role. Now, if he drops out, Hughes comes in. If King and Saluka Fafita or Hughes aren't available, you got Curran and Hayes that starts, and then Hipboy moves up. It's just been the way it is. If you go look at all the way, that's how they've done things. That's how they've done it. It's just it's very systematic. Preston leaves, Curran drops to right edge. If Curran's not there, Harry Hayes will drop in. If Salmon's available, he might go into right edge. Then they'll bring Turpin up, and he can play with Mann and Haywood. Just watching it, seeing it before our very eyes. This is the selections they've made. Now, the Toby Sexton thing at number 9, did not expect that. Now, Ciraldo said that wasn't plan A. And I said there'd be a few plans in the preview. I didn't expect that one. I don't think anyone did. And many people are now saying Toby Sexton's our number 1 hooker. He might well and truly turn out to be a really good hooker, but to go from playing on the edge, making his tackles because he's become really good at it, yeah, he did a good job. Toby had a good game. What do you think when he takes on the line with the ball? I think that he makes the majority of choices in the right way, Matt. Sometimes he doesn't have the capability to execute it the best, but I felt he had a good game. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people said the same thing, but that doesn't mean what matters is what the coach thinks. And I'm sure the coach was happy with his game yesterday. And so he should be, because he did his job. He kicked well. He could have put a couple of kicks a little bit deeper, closer to the line. I felt Galvin's kicks were really strong as well. Well placed. We got to compete. Toby had some good kicks. There's one or two which just could have been a little bit deeper. I felt he had the time. He was under pressure a couple of times with other kicks. He come both sides of the ruck. They play roles, man. They play roles. Like, it's not Nathan Cleary ball. That's why they got rid of Appy Coruscant, because Cleary just wants the ball off the deck on the advantage line. Like, Reed Marnie would suit that Penrith side really well. Defends hard, puts the ball on the chest, off the deck. If you say, Reed, don't create, kick out a dummy sometimes, just let us know when it's happening if we need it. But just get the ball to Nathan. It just simplifies their whole role. It's just get the ball to Nathan. And they gradually bring their 6 in when they need to. But if Jerome wants it, or whoever's it now, I forget his bloody name, the young fella from Para. Give him the ball sometimes as well. But very easy decision when you've got a dominant halfback who just gets the ball 95 times a match. When you play a system, your hooker's got to make the right decisions. And that's why I felt when I've seen Bailey go and play later in games at hooker. He just brought players onto the ball really well. And I felt Toby did the same and went the right way a lot. Like, it seemed to work. But it's also going to work when you've got 90% possession and you've already had 8 more sets than the opposition and there's still 20 minutes to go. You're going to they're just not going to be as quick in their line speed. You're going to have opportunities to run at them and make dents in them, and that's what we did, and that's why we put them away. Sam Hughes will play this week, no doubt. I don't think he will. I think Daniel Salika-Fifita had a strong game. His runs were strong. His contact was strong. And I just don't think they'll play two big boys. I just don't think it's part of the plan yet. I'm still waiting to see. Like, it's going to be a new dynamic when you've got Leo Thompson, who can play long minutes, and you've got Max King, who can play long minutes. It does make a new dynamic because, okay, you've got 2 big fellas that can play long minutes now, who are both of their replacements going to be former centres who were edge back rowers who are now playing the middle. Or is it going to be a Sam Hughes off as first interchange? Like, is that where we want to be, or is the game so fast now that you actually need those? You're still only picking two big boppers, and our 2 big boppers will be Leo Thompson and Max King, and then your next 2 are Curran and Tupanua. Where's Harry Hayes fit in? You know, you got Salmon and you got Man. Some good problems to have, which is why we'll see some of those small locks like Haywood move into that hooker position. and the stuff will happen. Told you, they. Galvin will dominate straight off the bat. Galvin will dominate straight off the bat. No, he didn't dominate. He didn't dominate. Look, the game was set up for him to do what he does well. You've got to keep it in perspective. Like the the commercialization of the whole thing is hilarious. I felt like screaming out USA. Like I was pumped, and the crowd just absolutely roared for Galvin, and I got shivers. It was great. You know, and they were going Galvin like he was Josh Reynolds in that first game at Belmore off the bench. Or his last game or whatever. I can't remember. They were chanting his name. 50,000 people were screaming his name when he was coming on. Some welcome. And you've got everyone just talking about Galvin. The try he scored was Tracy Carraz. He was a part of it though, for sure, yes. His passing was good, his kicks were good. He didn't really have to defend much. He got hammered once by Gideon Katonga. Everyone wanted us to be making breaks, and this club, it still hasn't hit its potential yet. Burton had a massive game. Burton was the dominant half. I said that to you. He's the dominant half in our club. People are talking about moving him to fullback because of one person said it as a joke on a tweet that then went viral, and all the political commentators mentioned it, and then Canterbury fans were mentioning it and just kicking Connor Tracy out to the point where Buzz was almost crying. What a poor Connor Tracy. Poor Connor Tracy. And Preston and King aren't getting enough money. They're going to be angry that Galvin's in the club on double what they earn. Well, the world I live in, you don't get enough money. You work harder till you get a rise. If you don't get a rise, you go somewhere else and get a fucking rise. And that's the business. Emotion doesn't come into it, because if you start talking about that shit, you've lost already. Oh, I deserve it. No, you don't. No one owes you nothing. No one owes you a thing. If you want it, you go get it. And I've been there, believe me, where I felt like I deserved it and I'd earned it and didn't get it. Do you see him as an honest threat? Well, I think in another system he could be. I've seen him smash Queensland Cup, make break after break. The step up's huge, but look, he made some good runs this year at the start of the year and got absolutely hammered, Matt. Smashed. Cleaned up. Takes the confidence out of you a little bit. We're on top of the friggin' ladder. People act like we don't deserve to be there. Now, I've always said that Toby he's more in your line of that halfback, that if you got a great fullback and you got a great 5'8" and you got a really good hooker and you got enough creativity and skillful people on the park, which Canterbury have. I wouldn't call Connor Tracy great, but I could. His work ethic's great. How hard he tries is great. His heart is great. He's a very good footballer. Is he a premium Origin class fullback? Well, not yet. Maybe not, maybe he won't be, but Luke Patton never played Origin. Never. Brent Sherwin never played Origin. Everyone said Anasta shouldn't have been playing Origin, that he was overrated. I thought he should have been the first player picked. But he was great. You know? Darren Britt never played Origin. Does Toby Sexton have to be a line breaker? Well, Lockie Galvin can break the line. I know that. But he's at the end. The other side of that story is, though, Westy was getting the ball more than anyone else. The law of averages says that someone who's fit and got, the athleticism of a kid who doesn't get tired, he's pretty tall and got some guts in him. He goes for it. Same as Matty Burton. That's what I loved about Matty yesterday. You just know he's just like, I've got to run. I'm going to go. And he threatened. We threatened all day. Parramatta were well prepared for that match. Nearly every option we chose threatened, but they managed it. They handled it. But they couldn't go for 80 minutes. And I'm watching a lot of games. To me, they were in the top 8 teams. And as far as performances in the last 5 weeks, I felt they were a top 8 side based on their performances in recent history. I'd put Dolphins there for sure. And that's not even playing the Bulldogs. And I'd put Penrith back up there as well. Obviously, Warriors, Raiders. I was a bit worried about us, to be honest. I thought we were sort of slipping a bit, which is fair enough. But be careful what you wish for. This Bulldog side is going good, and it hasn't reached its potential yet. I felt yesterday they played really well. Watching it back on the phone, I haven't watched it on the TV yet. Saw it at the game. Was dialed right in. Happy with pretty much everyone's performance across the game for what they did. I felt that, Hayward dropping that ball, people, that's what I mean. Everyone starts reading into the frigging narratives. I'm watching it here being written. Gus has stuffed the club up. Look, as I said, journalists would have no bloody issue, all of them, with the Dogs falling off the perch. Couple of players, all these players that have been scapegoated by our own fans who have just looked straight past them. Oh, Toby's not good enough, though. We're never going to win a premiership with Toby, they say. You don't know that. It's just another narrative. You might be proven right in time because the stats won't lie about that. Doesn't mean you're actually right, though. We're all just here sharing opinions, and I'm hearing what everyone's got to say from all sides of the spectre. But at the end of the fucking day, the Bulldogs are on top of the ladder, and they deserve it. They've lost 2 games to 2 Queensland sides in the rain on a Thursday night, and a lot went against them in both games. Dolphins missing a shitload of players. I actually was happy with the strategy of the game that we played. And the Broncos played perfect football and got a leg up. And we just kept doing, obviously, hitting them high and stuff. We won that second half. I was happy. We've done really bloody well. And seeing where we've come from, and you read it, like I had Joey at the game with us yesterday, and I don't know if he's watching because he probably isn't because he works hard and doesn't have time. But his little comment was, the Dogs have got the best depth in the competition. And that's a really patriotic thing to say. But you go write it all on paper. And even the players in other teams, I'm sure, are still writing us off. On paper, you take away their performances for us since they've been brought into our competition. Half our fan base didn't know who these players were, let alone the opposition. They were, we have got great depth. We're going to have even better depth. And most of that depth will be built from within. So while all the doubters want to sit there and say we're trying to buy a premiership, they're all happy to say, "Oh, you bought a premiership." What? Because we bought 6 players on 200 grand each, and Critter on 800. Okay, Burton when he played 3 games of first grade. I suppose that's when we bought him. He then played nearly every game the following season. No, so Sam Hughes. Oh, he's not in the top 21, is he? Let me have a look. So Sam Hughes not in the top 21 or the top 23. Thought he was. Yeah, he is. He's on the extended reserve bench. He's on the extended reserve bench. He's number 21, so he could be elevated to the squad by Thursday or Friday, I think it is. And then you got the 24-hour squad. But I don't think he will. I think he'll play New South Wales Cup again like he did last week. He's a big boy. He's got to get going. He doesn't just get straight back in. And Daniel Saluka Fafita, they've been happy with what he's done. I don't see the problem with it. Burton best player ever. He's so dominant, I felt. He was 100%. Best half in our club. People don't want to hear that, but he is. Oh, how many people have already put him back to centre? Because they've got to bring Mitch Woods and Galvin into halves. Great seeing Mitchy Woods play New South Wales Cup yesterday. I watched a bit of that on as well last night. Scored a try, Had some good passes. We got some good stuff happening. Defensively, got some work to do. Now, I don't know. I see him as a fullback long term. Much bigger chance of him playing fullback than Matt Burton, I can tell you that now. We'll remember this for all time. More of that body shape. He's a great runner. Could swing around. Great passer. Reckon he could catch a footy. Played AFL. Just putting it out there for the future. G'day, Mark. Welcome. Great having a drink with you yesterday, my friend, and enjoying a very satisfying day. Finally. It's been too long. Our attack is boring under Toby. He lacks spark and polish. He's all effort, but he's more of an organisational halfback. Unfortunately, Toby will not be towards the end of the year. Well, Matt, boring. Boring. It's not the word I would use. Lacks spark and polish. Look, there's a reason he's not signed, but looking at dismissing players who've got you to the top of the ladder is I'll just say be careful what you wish for. And I say be careful everyone who wants to glorify one 19-year-old kid. I've thought the world of Thurston, and defence was always an issue, but he got out there with the boys, with those Dogs in 2004, and got to work. A lot of energy, and Galvin plays with a lot of energy as well. But I felt JT was definitely smaller. But he was fit too, I love JT and wish he never left. It's easy to say that now too, but I was devastated when he left originally because watching him come through. Yeah, Galvin's going to be interesting how they go about it. I've been happy with Toby, and I still think he's the Toby Sexton's only 24, mate. He's 24 years old. Like, I know he's got 5 years on Galvin. He went into the Titan side as a 21-year-old or a 20-year-old. Fogarty got injured. They made the semi-finals in a COVID year. He played well. Did a good job. Short kicking game was awesome. The amount of tries he was getting off, as try assists he was getting off kicks was really good as a starting half. The best halves don't hit their straps until about 28, 29. And in fact, I remember watching Mitch Moses for years. You could see the talent. And, they had that attacking spark and flair that they weren't boring to watch, but they also made a hell of a lot of mistakes. And they cost their teams games, plenty of them. And when the big moments were on, they failed a lot. But it's made them the player they are today, and they've been persisted with. I have no doubt that Toby Sexton will persist, whether it's with Canterbury or another team. Look, I'm assuming it's going to be another team, and I've said that for weeks, for longer than that, actually. But whether he gets to those heights at another club, you might be right. But I think it's just a bit, if something's working, they say if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. But you can always improve and you can always evolve. There's always someone knocking on your shoulder. I just think it's a good situation in the fact that, to me, they played well yesterday. And we talk about boring. I've watched the best halfback in the game playing downhill for a few years and not really pulling the trigger on a lot of the running stuff himself. He used to run, and he's run more and more and more as he's got older and older and become more of a threat with his running game. But a lot of the stuff he did, he was able to do when teams were just absolutely gassed. And the Bulldogs are doing the exact same thing. But our pack isn't as big. But we're definitely grinding teams out for a long time, and they capitulate. And you've got to remember, those Parramatta guys, Mitchell Moses and that, they want to make the finals, and they probably think they can. And we've really put a dent in their ability to do that. And we did it to them again last year. They were still a chance last year. So they might fall away once they realise that season's out of control, out of their hands. But yeah, I just don't think that people can say and do whatever they freaking like. I don't care. But from my point of view, Toby's doing a good job. He's part of that 17. People are going to say, well, who are you going to leave out? I think Galvin off the bench. We've been playing a small lock and another small bloke as the number 17 all fucking season. Yet these guys who are paid commentators and experts, which they should be, I want them to do what they do. Sometimes I just wish that they did their fucking homework and actually invested in the way that they act like they have. Canterbury's been carrying two small guys on the bench all fucking season. So why wouldn't we just keep doing that? I think the dynamic changes when Jamin Salmon comes back, because he will be brought in back into the team. So that's when a choice needs to be made. Is it Hayward? Is it Sexton? Is it Marnie? Or is it Galvin? Or do they then go, okay, we want to keep all those players. We drop a winger, whack someone into centre, put Matt Burton a fullback, drop Connor Tracy. Look, the media are going to have a field day with it. And us fans, look, we had that beautiful win on Monday, yesterday. It was only yesterday. God, wow. We had that great win. Loved it. One of the best days. It's great to see Lockie. Great to see everyone do a good job. But still, the narratives are going to be written, and they're waiting for us to fall off that perch. And the only way to shut them up is to keep winning. But Buzz has already, he won't let go of it. He's got it there. And a lot of our fans have got it there as well. Either we needed this kid for us to win the premiership this year, or the pressure gets to him and gets to other players, it all falls down, and it's the club's fault that we fell off the top of the ladder. Anyway, all I can say is Ciraldo's got big nuts. He's going to make the decisions that he thinks is best for the team and the club. He'll make some mistakes as well. He'll wear that. Probably won't say it publicly, but he'll know. And then, some people will be scapegoats, some won't be. It's a business. But at the end of the day, we're just going to stick on this ride, going to keep supporting them. And if I see people dissing our players and being smart asses to players, I'll do what I always do. I'll tell them to shut the fuck up. Respect them, respect their family. Respect the people who wear our jersey. You don't have to be vanilla. Have your opinion. Be constructive, though. And I find that we're all constructive in this little place we're in. And anyone who's not soon gets told by everyone else to shut up. Anyway, Paulie Burton was enormous. He was. And that's another thing. Matty Burton, I could see it from round one this year. He was going to have a great year. It's been frustrating for him. Got injured when he was dominating. His game back, made about 5 bloody errors. Luckily, we still smashed the team we played. I think it was the Titans when he came back. Can't remember. Yeah, and then he got a suspension. It's just been back and forth. But, yeah, that's the player right there that we saw yesterday. And, he's 18th man again just to fucking... That does my head in, that does. Your brother's a great... Oh, thank you so much, mate. Yeah, he loves his footy. He's still dirty. Like, he sort of reminds me of us when I was watching the Bulldogs in 2023. Like, there's these games we should have won that we lost, and then it sort of got too far from us, and then we just, everyone capitulated. The ones that were leaving and whatever else, and the ones that they thought were going to do well, they're getting rid of. He's sort of having that with the West Tigers at the moment. And in a way, he's right. Like, they could have won. They could have beat Penrith on the weekend. They should have beat South. They should have beat the Warriors, and they would have beat the Cowboys. I think they could have been on 4 more wins, but they're not. They're not. So, sucks to be Robert. Yeah, it was the worst team in the bin, and I felt good that the match review committee actually kick ours off. He's not getting a fine, which means we're vindicated for wanting to murder Jared Sutton yesterday over a game of football. But he's quite happy to make those decisions. I felt, I knew we were going to get a lot of penalties at certain points, and if you go out there and you play as the dominant side, you will get the penalties from Jared. He has a way that he refs the game. But it's when, yeah, we've all said our bit about Jared Sutton. Toby's a great 7, but in outside, the balance isn't quite right for our attack to look threatening. We need a gun attacking fullback to have that balance, or we have a 7. Paulie, I know we're not Penrith, right? And people get sick of the comparison. Dylan Edwards. Do you know why they gave Critter $650,000 as a 19-year-old? Because they were going to transition him to fullback ahead of Dylan Edwards. Edwards had a couple of injuries. Now, coming through, Edwards hardly made a line break. Hardly created anything. He's got better and better as he's got older. He's done his job and then just got more skillful, got his passing games improved. his ability to read the line and defend. We're not nowhere near the finished product, and I know you know that because that's what you comment about, right? But let them get there. Like Mick, I love Michael Ennis, who loves the narrative and loves to talk the positives of what he's saying. Him, he's a flat track bully, Michael Ennis. Loves it. He fucking loves it. And his best mate, Corey Parker, a bit the same, but more on the other side. So when the team's really shit, he loves to tell you how shit they are. Mick loves to tell you how good someone is. Really good dynamic as a mate's pairing, if you want to ask. So that's why they are good mates. Sure of it. And two really upfront blokes, right? Who I don't think are doing anything deceitful in what they say. They say what they think and believe. Sometimes they drive me nuts. But anyway, just talking about the narratives of what's good and what's not. I just think we've got to be happy with what we've got and just continue to watch how it unfolds and trust the club and trust the process and how they're going to get there. Because it's really, I've been so satisfied watching our team fight for every win that they've had. It hasn't been an absolute demolition. The closest it was to a demolition was the first 20 minutes against the Gold Coast this year before Burton got injured and kick out in the same game. I felt our best performance was against the Sharks, but they had some adversity, losing players, losing their centre, and then losing the player who could have taken that role in Talakai because he's played centre as well. So it was harder for them. And so it was a real close grind, and then we got our noses in front, and then we were able to pull away, and it was quite a dominant victory. And then they're not as going as well as what people thought they would be. As I said, really happy with the second half against the Broncos. It's like two different matches in one. Obviously, the Raiders come back, but we're far from perfect. But I'm not going to blame that on the lack of spark of our halfback. Look, I know Galvin's got him covered on the attacking side of things, no doubt. I have to see Galvin be able to defend, be resilient in defence on his edges in periods where things aren't going well and we aren't able to get that ruck under control and little men are sort of retreating and getting picked out in the line, which can happen to our team at any time against a good side, right? And it has happened at different points. That's when you see how they handle an edge. Well, early in a game, and they just run a run-of-the-mill play with a big fella going at a little fella off a quick play of the ball. And I've seen Toby stop those players. I saw Hutch doing it last year to start the season. There is a method to what they expect in that role as a halfback on that edge defensively. And Galvin's going to have to prove that he can do that. Now, do I expect him to be able to do it straight away? No. Do I think he needs a little bit of seasoning there? Of course. Do you give that seasoning in first grade leading into a final series? Maybe. Put it this way, we're in a perfect position to be able to try some things. And that was proven last night, where they were able to, with 20 minutes to go, 2 points in front, dominating possession, working the Parramatta side over for that previous 15 minutes of that match, and keeping the ball in play for long periods in the first half. We got it to a point where it was all in our hands. And I felt Galvin's passing, his straightening of the attack was really strong. But a lot of the same sort of tries in a way that Toby's been a part of all season. Really, the Galvin try though, that's where I go. I've seen Toby go start to set up the next play. When Carrez sort of come to a stop and had to get the offload going. Now, is Toby going to back up the way Galvin did for Curran? Now, that's the question there. That's where I go, would that have happened? The other thing as well is, if Toby was backing up, does Curran pass him the ball? See, these are dynamics that people don't sort of talk about. Now, obviously, you got a player there, you should trust him more. But for Curran just to pass that ball to Galvin when he didn't hold on to it too long either. He got it straight to him. And he went over. That was a big moment. It could be a defining moment in our season, in our history. It could be. It could be a massive narrative around that. There's lots of ifs, could have, should have, maybes, didn't. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but what I do know is we're on top of the ladder. Toby's been a big part of that. And the context is that stop being so fucking wrapped up in this shiny toy we've got. It's probably going to be worth, but I'm not going to make stupid analogies. I was about to. We've got our little bit of crypto. It's about to go off the charts, right? But the investment that we had was giving us a pretty good return. And what I was seeing in the market yesterday was everyone who was on that field played their role really well, from Toby moving into the hooker role to Galvin moving into the half role and everything in between. They did their job. They did it really well. Galvin looked great. Well, he looked really good. And I felt Toby looked just as good. But you can't compare Reed's performance at hooker for 55, 60 minutes or 58 minutes or whatever it was to Toby's performance at hooker in the last 22, because it's chalk and cheese. Fatigue is often the thing that people don't recognise I hear it all the time, and from people I like and trust and are friends with and talk with about football, sit there and say this, they think the 13 that start are the best 13 in the team. I know not a lot of you people know, but this is just my insights and analysis, and this is what I talk about. And just to remember it, it's completely fucking different. Fatigue, you cannot dismiss fatigue when rating the performance of players. The only thing you can do is talk about the players that are under fatigue who raise efforts that other players under fatigue can't raise. And that's why we don't have two big boppers on the bench, because the coach doesn't trust that they're going to get the job done. They've only got 8 interchanges. They've got their plan A. Now, when they have to revert to plan C, D, E, and F because we're behind and things aren't going right, they need players that can actually keep defending and keep them in the game for as long as possible. And it's as simple as that. Now, if you change your mentality to that, you'll be less surprised and less pissed off about players that you like not making the team, because, we're hearing a lot about Sam Hughes. I watched his first game in New South Wales Cup when he was brought across from from Parramatta. Came off the bench, scored a try. Right? Used to be an edge back rower. Very skillful one, could offload and everything. Not as good as a Bryce Cartwright as far as that sort of talent, or a Feliti Mateo or someone like that. But he was quite skillful, and he hadn't sort of filled out yet. Quite tall, but Gus brought him over, liked the bloke he spoke to. I think Sam's got a player manager. I don't know if he manages anyone else. But he come across to the club, and he just did and he got a really bad spinal injury, and they invested in that guy. He was on a training trial, and Gus injured on a training trial, gave him a first grade contract, top 30 for a year. And he worked hard, got back as early as he could, and had some games. And then the following year, he played every single game. So I know why he's got a bit of a following amongst the fan base, and so he should. Some people say he does nothing. I hear that all the time on fan pages. Sam Hughes will play a part in the rest of our season if he doesn't get injured. And he's just going to keep doing what he does as hard as he can. They've got some other players that want to debut, so they're going to give some players a rest. So this is just a period for Sam to get his body right and get himself into a condition where he can play the minutes he needs to play in NRL and hit the markers they want him to hit. Now, if he starts hitting those markers, I'm sure he gets into that role. He's obviously not yet. But that's not to say he doesn't get elevated this week, but I doubt that happens when Daniel Saluka-Fafita has done an admirable job in that role and done a really good job. And is someone that's probably on more money than Sam as well. Not that should matter. So Saluka-Fafita, he has that role as the sort of 20-minute enforcer, and Hughes will replace him. Okay. James, kicks challenge a dangerous contact of the judicial one, save some dollars. Yeah, and I think the most important thing, James, is that if he doesn't, because that was only an extra fine if he challenged it, I think that you're going to see that a lot now, because if you think about it, Jacob Preston had a couple of those where if he challenged the fines, he wouldn't have got that 4 weeks that he got from challenging that other one. So those loadings, they sort of put you into a position. It's like to save everyone the hassle, just accept the fine. Yeah, right? A lot of the time, though, it's a fine in 1 week. So you're forced to accepting that fine, and then it all bloody loads up against you if you get another little bloody contact, which shouldn't have been a call to contact. Absolutely. That's where the system doesn't work. It saves the NRL a shitload of money, saves clubs having to pay lawyers and all that sort of stuff. But then you get another little one, it loads up again, and it loads up again. So, yeah, it happened against Curran, and it's definitely happened with Jacob Preston. So I'm really glad that they did that. And, yeah, he got it overturned. Validates why we hated Jared Sutton in the bunker. And, yeah, really good stuff. A grade 7 is a stretch. He's good, solid, but he's not great. His stats don't lie, unfortunately. Yeah, I use the word great too much. I don't know if I said Toby's a grade 7. Are we talking about Nathan Cleary or Toby Sexton? Toby's not a grade 7 yet. No. He's a good 7. And he's going to be a very good 7. The more NRL games he plays. You know, Toby doesn't have a father who's a coach who can get him into a side and keep him there and scapegoat other players. Even though, he knows his son's a good tackler. I've seen the boys getting around Galvin, shutting that bull crap narrative down. Well, that's what we wanted to see, JB. But the narrative's still going to hang around, mate. And they'll be looking forward to the Dogs and Galvin playing this week. But, yeah, the boys got around him. And as I said, it's business as freaking usual for players to thinking inwardly a little bit about their careers when contracts are up. But no one deserves a jersey. No one deserves a contract. You get the bloody contract. The people in charge make those decisions. Sometimes they're the wrong decisions in hindsight. So what? Do you think South Sydney don't regret letting Adam Reynolds go? They could have kept him for another season. But what did they get for the 3 years that he was there before that? Injury after injury, no finals. Like, people are so critical of decisions. Decisions get made, and you just go with it. If they keep making decisions which run your club into the ground and whatever else, well, then you look at what you can do as a member or a private member and see what the flavour is of the day. But as far as I'm concerned, it's great to talk about all these things, and I love it. I live for it. But we get so fucking critical of people taking considered risks. Do you think they don't think about those risks that they take? That's part of the game. You got to take risks, and sometimes a risk doesn't pay off. But if you believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing, a lot of the time it will. The job for administrators and coaches, though, is to have people on that journey with you. Because if everyone buys in, it does work. It does get results, or it gets you to a point. And then it's up to the people at the top to decide, well, we're at this point. What do we need to do if we can't get past this point? What's the next step? And for some people, it's starting again, which is almost what's happened with the Eels. And this is what a lot of people probably think with the Galvin situation. Toby's going to get us to a point. It won't be good enough, and we just need to get someone above that. Maybe. But I will say, I do see a world where Burton's at 6 and Galvin's at 7 and Mitchell Woods is at 1 coming through and developing. It's probably not the plan. He's pretty nippy. He's pretty explosive. He's pretty aggressive. He's building his muscle up. He's going to get his shoulder in there and tackle some blokes. He's going to handle the pre-seasons the more that he does. But the comparison to Steve Mortimer doesn't leave me, because I honestly think in today's game where you've got 12 men standing in the line instead of 11 men, the halves stand in the line. They don't stand behind it anymore. And they tackle. Some of those good little sevens would have also been could have built themselves up into be pretty tough, resilient little fullbacks. And I even look at the Brian To'os and the Taruvas and these types of players. Little nuggety fellas that can run all day, they can play fullback too. I guess the defining thing, though, is how well do they read the defensive stuff and how well can they communicate across the line to everyone and just get to those balls and make those tackles in cover and that sort of stuff. G'day, Pete. Had a great day at the game. Met some fantastic people in 10-degree temperatures. Didn't matter. All enjoyed. Yeah, it was great meeting you and Benny, mate. And having a drink with you. Sorry for the way I was carrying on when Kikio got sent off. And I know I don't shut up the whole game. Bit like my podcast. Galvin will be the 7 because he will just show to everyone at training that there isn't a player in the club with a higher IQ or vision. Might take a couple of months, though. That's all right, Paulie. Look, I love the belief you have in Galvin. But I'll just say be careful. All right? Mate, I'm not telling you how to act, but if it was me, I'd just be toning it down a little bit. You know, keep that Galvin Viagra pill hidden away for when you need it. You've told us how good he's going to be. Now let's let him do it. Let's let him develop. He's a kid on a big journey, and he's got 12 kilos to put on, all right? He's got 10 to 12 kilos of muscle to put on. That can change everything. But the kid's pretty cocky. He can play 7 and he can get it done. And he takes one ACL to put that confidence away for 12 months or 18 months, which has been our game. That's the reality of our game, guys. So let's support them with what they're doing. Support the team. Look at how the team created those points. That's what I mean. Galvin come in and did his role. He did it really well, but the team owned every single try we got. I'll tell you what, though, the Kurt Mann to the Harry Hayes try, that was probably the best individual part of our game that I saw. But obviously, Burton's intercept was all instinctively on him. No one told him to do it. He could see what was happening in front of him, and he anticipated and he did it. But that Kurt Mann stuff, obviously, he does different things throughout the game. Where the coach brings him on, knowing that everything we did as a team gives a player like him the opportunity to do that. It's play, the first set through to the 20th set when that happens. It's all relative, right? Kurt, 3 steps within a short space. I fucking love that. That was, to me, the moment of the game. And Harry Hayes scoring and the speed that he's still got. Centre. Jersey Flegg centre, captain. Played some edge. Debuts in NRL in the middle. There's something about Harry. I think Harry's the chosen one, in my opinion. And Scotty, one of our great listeners, absolutely loves Harry. But Crows had a serious doubt this weekend with an aggravated calf muscle. Well, Matt, he looked like he was struggling early, actually. I felt it was going to be a risk, which is why I thought he might not play. But I must say he was a huge contributor to our success. I don't know if Wilson would have got us that same result. But Wilson would have done his role well. But Jacob had some important plays in that game. And from the very first play of the game, he offloads. He does his offload. But, yeah, your mail probably right around that, sadly, which was why they've got an Ari Tawala. Tawala was obviously his first game back. Had some all right moments. I wasn't 100% impressed, but I didn't expect to be honest. And he's there, and Jonathan Sewer as well as backups, and they could potentially play a Blake Taff. I'm not sure if Blake was actually named though in the 23-man squad. G'day, Anthony. Max King's game has gone to a new. Yes, we've got to talk about Maxi King. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. And that's why I got a picture of Max, which I'm covering at the moment. To me, that was his most aggressive and dominant middle forwards game I've seen him play. And it's not like he was playing no names. Junior Paulo can mix it with the best of them. Yeah. His first stint, absolutely brilliant. It was almost like, it's funny because you sort of look at Max and you're watching the interviews and listening to Gus talk about him and what we've seen, right? And he's like, I'm not an Origin player. I'm a player that's hanging out with Origin players, and he plays Origin. 21 tackles, no misses, 112 metres. Plays about 40 minutes straight. Then comes out against the Eels, and he's like, I'm a fucking Origin player. I'm one of the best props in the comp. I'm not the second hit-up guy that All Things Bulldogs was saying I was. I've developed into that to be that guy. Leo Thompson's coming to the club on double what I'm on. I don't care. It's up to me to earn what he's earned. I want to keep wearing the number 8. Leo's going to have to take it off me. Because there's the thing, like you're 7 and you're 6, you're 8 and you're 10. It's a sign of who's the man, right? They don't really care. The ego is not based on that, but it is a little thing, right? And Max King said, I'm an Origin player. And we all got to see it. Now, people can say they want Parramatta second last and blah, 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 blah. And, they brought on young Joash Papali and they had Jordan Samrani. They've had all the Bulldogs players play. I thought it was a big mistake. Joash or Jordan weren't given a chance to influence the game at all. So I felt the Parramatta the coach made a huge mistake with his selections. We saw what Joash could do when he had to go on. He was going to play hooker. He had to play wing for the whole match. And they won an amazing game of rugby league, and he had an absolute blinder in his first ever game. And was every bit the player that we thought we'd lost, right? He's come on as the hooker. It's not, I don't believe it's his go. I really don't. I don't know what's happening there. But the point I'm making is that Parramatta side made a mistake at the selection table, in my opinion. As resilient as they were, they didn't have the punch we had off the bench. And a player like Max King proved that with every run that he had. We were the classy outfit out there. It didn't matter that their halves pairing cost more than our entire spine. I suppose Galvin ups that up a little bit now, but he's still just a 19-year-old, in my opinion, with a lot of talent who's, convinced the club he's going to be there and can help them win games already. And he's done that. And we'll see how that continues. But Maxi King and his stats are absolutely off the planet. Let's get into some stats, shall we, so we can get going, because I've been going an hour and a half. This was only supposed to be a 45-minute to an hour show. I probably can't wait to do the preview of the South game, by the way, but that won't be tonight, guys. But let's have a look at some of the stats. Where is it? Well, that's the Rabbitohs game, which I didn't want to show you. So I'll get this up for us. So, team stats. We had 60-40 possession in the end, an extra 11 minutes with the ball, 47 from 52 versus we completed an extra 22 more sets than the Eels. Only won by 18 points. Now, I'm sure some will say that's because we didn't bring Galvin on early enough. And I'm not having a crack at the kid. I'm just get some perspective. That Eel side, I think, are going to really, if they're going to play this week, they're going to struggle. Absolutely tortured them for 80 minutes. Even when we had a player down, that's the only time they really looked absolutely great in what they were doing. Well, not great, but confident and capable. Had an extra 80 runs over them, made an extra 1,000 metres, winning post contact by about 200 or 300 metres, 6 line breaks to 2, 38 tackle breaks, average set distance an extra, 7 or 8 metres. They won the average play the ball speed. There's your Sutton factor. 16 offloads, 8 from Carraz. Yeah. Tackling, 26 missed tackles. We made 304. They missed 38 from 399. Similar sort of ratio. Ours was slightly better. A lot less ineffective tackles. So look, it was a good display by the Bulldogs. We played some footy, and Carraz was definitely a part of that, getting the offloads going, the second phase, running it through the middle, tiring them out, and just continually sticking to the game plan. The points we conceded an intercept and then a try when we're down to 12 men. Okay. I can definitely live with that. It was a really good, strong, solid performance in front of 60,000 fans. And hopefully this Sunday we see a massive crowd at the South game as the away. Hopefully we can get more Bulldogs fans there than South fans. That would be absolutely amazing. So there you go. Let's have a look at Maxi King stats. So Reed only played, 57 minutes, made 42 tackles for the Bulldogs. That looks like to me that he probably knew he was going off, and he went doubly hard. 240 metres for Connor Tracy. So Critter come off with 3 minutes to go. I was so when we made that break at the end after they coughed up the ball and Carraz made the break and he got the pass to Hot Boy. He nearly got there, Hot Boy. God, I was hoping he was going to score. So Saluka Fafita had 2 stints, played 22. So he had an 18-minute stint and then a 4-minute stint. Curran played 80. Kurt Mann played 47, one of the longest games he's played for the Dogs this year. Hayward only 37. Harry Hayes 63 minutes in the middle. Unbelievable. Lipoi plays his 30 minutes and Lockie played 23. So it was a good game. Maxi King, 45 minutes. And what's he done in 45 minutes? 19 hit-ups for 229 metres. 83 post-contact. Made a tackle break. I think he made his tackle efficiency 26. He made 27 tackles, 1 ineffective, none missed. Reed, 42 tackles, 1 missed tackle, 1 ineffective. Toby, 21 tackles, 3 missed. Critter, 11, 3 missed. Matty made 13. What did Lachlan make? He only had to make 4 tackles, so he's running downhill. So for Lockie, it was like he was coming on at the start of a game and everyone else was out of puff. Really, like Parramatta, we barely had to defend a set while he was on the field. Like the game was set up really well for him. He gets to start next week, and don't be surprised if he does have some missed tackles and makes some mistakes with the ball and puts one out in the full or anything like that. I'm not saying he can't. I expect he's going to do all that, but if he does do that, that's just a part and parcel of being a 19-year-old, right? To try some things and have them stuff up. We've got 4 players out to Origin. We can expect that sort of stuff to happen. Jacob Carraz, 21 runs, 216 metres, 6 tackle breaks, 7 offloads, 3 passes, 6 tackles, 1 ineffective. Connor Tracy, 240 metres from 23 runs, 51 post-contact. So they all did their job. Cherry, 175. Montoya, 207. And probably one of Marcello's best games. He sort of, something happened where they made that break down the right edge. I was like, our left. Play the ball speed. This is what you look at Lipoi Hotboy, 2.89 seconds. He's averaging under 3 as a Bulldog. Kick out, 2.45. Yeah, he was so aggressive, Villiamy. 11 runs, 109 metres, good for Big Bill. Yeah. In the context of the game, though, when they're barely making it out of their 30 metres, we've had that many more. Where the game was played, we're always going to make shitloads of metres. Always. Spent a fair bit of time in their third, which means our forwards are going to get their game on. So there you go. Matty Burton obviously had the intercept, which he got and ran about 50 metres to score. Toby, 15 runs, 111 metres. So there you go. If I was given the best players on the field, I think Matty Burton's on top. I think Connor, Jacob, and Max King are all equal second. And then Critter did. I really like what Critter did all game, but then I'm probably going to everyone. Kurt Mann after that. Everyone else a very close fourth. Oh, he's talking about Galvin. Okay. All right, Anthony. Nice hit on Sean Russell coming out of the line. Didn't miss. Thank God it didn't go wrong. That's always a worry, isn't it? I felt that the one Saluka Fafita got done for. I felt Max hit him as well, but it looked like chest to me. I don't know. All right, we're talking about Toby, are we? Quote a mate of mine, Kraz needs to go to prop for a rest. How many had I drunk when I said that? G'day, Scary. Welcome, mate, and thanks for being a member as well. I myself think they will re-sign Sexton once Reed has moved on. Well, I said that. I actually said that on one of the podcasts. I think no one's going to be re-signed out of the last 7 players that are up. And if there is going to be one re-sign, it might be Reed or Toby, but not both. But it could be both that don't get signed as well. But look, I don't think Reed's, from what I can see, Reed is going to go out there and play his ass off, and his manager will work it out. But it's likely if he's got the opportunity to go to another club, he will go to another club next year. And the Dogs will happily send him on more money. And I don't think we'll have to contribute. I think a team will be willing to start with him on big money. And if not, he can just stay with the club for another year and have a lot of good competition for spots and add that extra depth to our club. Gratitude, do you see any changes from the 17 name for the Sunday game? I actually don't. I think that'll be the 17. But I thought Crows wouldn't play. And there wasn't some ducks and drakes. They had some photos where he didn't have, pardon me, he didn't have the captain's run shirt on, and he didn't come out on the video they showed, but he played. Actually saw Curtis Moran and Wilson get in the car about 11 a.m. from the Pullman Hotel. Curtis drove like a maniac. Maybe that's a sign they're unhappy. I don't think they resign anyone except a handful. If we resign blokes, it means letting go of juniors. Well, the idea is that they let go of players that are on a contract, which could be on 200, 300, 500, whatever they're on, and you replace them with juniors on close to minimum contracts and allow those juniors the opportunity to progress. If they're doing well, everything's going well. The tap on the shoulder from Gus means, how you going? How you going, Mr. Manager? We want to upgrade your player for another season or two. And this is what we're going to give him. Here you go, sign right here. Status Tomb, welcome. Welcome back. Do you know how Luke Thompson is going? I don't know how he's going in England. He left our club a while ago, buddy. Yeah, he's definitely gone. G'day, Scotty. How you going, mate? Don't be sorry. You can watch it from the start. Welcome, Michael. It was amazing. Oh, I forgot. I bloody should have messaged you, Michael. Could have caught up. And here he is. young fan. He's getting better each week. Blue and white pride forever. Go Harry Hayes. Yeah, I think we'll do a feature on Harry, just for you, Scotty. I'm just going to get as much info as I can on Harry Hayes, and as much like a documentary. You've inspired me. Mike, were you there? I'm devastated. He was there, mate. My beloved father, Mark, I promised my other older man that I'd be with him at the game. Sorry, guys, it cut out for a little bit there. Oh, and when I didn't give you the bloody proper picture of everything. So I was sitting there looking through the stats, but you weren't seeing much. They do look good considering how many are out of Origin. Yeah, I reckon they do look good. We just can have good confidence that the players coming in know the role they're playing. I named the side early, wasn't giving any insight. Not that I ever do, really. Sometimes I do. And it was the exact same player for player for the 17 that they named. I was pretty happy with that. But as I said, quite easy to predict. I hope the 6 lads off contract are re-signed or informed they will not be sooner rather than later. It's about that time of year. Clubs tell the squad where they stand. Toby's good. Toby is safe. Yeah, well, this time of year, things start to happen. It's business as usual. And look, Curtis Moran, I was hearing stuff all bloody season. All season. That he was going, and there's a lot of talk he was leaving before June 30. So he's off to the Titans. He's sorted. It'll all take care of itself over the next few weeks. The players, look, Gus Gould has created frameworks where the players that sit there and put in, whether they make first grade or not, right? If they're putting in and they're doing their thing, they get taken care of. They get helped. If they're out there amongst the club causing trouble and being negative Nancy's and not showing the right attitude towards the values of the club, which is basically a KPI, right? They don't get looked after as well. But even still, I'm not saying Gus is a messiah. I'm saying this is exactly what happens. And if I've spoken to a couple of players, I know everyone speaks to someone who speaks to someone and who speaks to someone else, but that's exactly how it goes, right? There's a couple of players who've been in our club who have left, who are really good off the field, did great stuff for people, who you could call and they'd go and do stuff and sign shit for people and whatever else, go see people in hospital, and whatever else, sick Bulldogs fans and whatever else. But the point I'm making is they take care of them. They make sure you create a system where players can audition and for their future roles and sell themselves, and even if that's getting them in doing stuff which a media story. We saw Curtis Moran on a Channel 9 news story earlier in the year at some schools and stuff, and he talked and whatever else. That's all part of it. Okay, it's helping these players, even though they don't want to leave. None of them want to leave, but it's the business, and they get told eventually that this is how it's going to go. Now, player managers which come in and start waving the dick around and saying, oh, go up to Gus, can we have a meeting? My client, he's got heaps of people chasing him. This is what his value is, blah, 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 blah. Gus is like, do you need a reference? That's that. I don't know if it's ego, but it's definitely they're taken care of. They know where they stand. There's definitely parts of the season where players I've also heard don't know where they stand. And you know what that means? They're not working hard enough. They're thinking too much. Trust the process. Work harder. Be a great representative of yourself and the Bulldogs, your family, your culture, your religion, whatever it is. And the rest takes care of itself. Michael, when Galvin scored that try, I almost cried. It felt like the whole stadium was about to explode. Good on you, buddy. Yeah, I've felt the shivers, man. Even when he went on. Actually, when he went on, it was louder. But, yeah, Joker and the Thief's a really good song to play at the start of going onto the field as well. It's really good. Wolf Mother did well there. Aussie band. Sounds like Led Zeppelin. Ding, 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 ding. I love it. The big start up with the drums, and they did a lot right yesterday. It was a great day. Toby doesn't make errors, but he doesn't take those risks either. He's a great bloke, though, a great role model. Little whispers the Knights are watching him closely. Well, they're the Knights of the club who produce more halfbacks than any other club, but bought and bought 3 times as many. Wouldn't surprise me. The narrative fits. Who they bought. So Johnsy was telling everyone that the Bulldogs needed to go and pay 900 grand for Jackson Hastings. Then the Knights sign him. That was to take him early from the Tigers, who paid him 700 from the Super League. And then the Knights got him for 800. Got him for unders. He's been playing reserve grade. He was their halfback when they went on that big run. Cogger did a great job when Luai had to come off in a grand final and played some good cover. And I've seen Cogger have some good games, and Cogger can make a line break here. I've seen him do it for the Dogs. Came from Newcastle. He went back there. Now they got this young fella they're developing as a 5'8", who's a fullback, but he'll be able to play 5'8". He's doing it all right. Crossland was there. They got some other young kids coming through. Yeah, I could see it working. I could see obviously the Titans is one that you could see. I could see the Raiders picking Toby Sexton because look, they've got Ethan Sanders. They're getting Brayley from Newcastle, who's another hooker. Obviously, he's going to come in and play like a small lock role, which is what they're going to do to follow. Teams are following that sort of style now with what Ciraldo pioneered, which is a Gus Gould thing. And then Toby could end up there as well. I could see him going to the Dragons. They could do a lot worse. He's definitely a bigger threat with his short kicking game, and he's got a longer kicking game that both Ilias can kick nearly as long as Toby. Toby he was taking the line on, and he will again. It's all about continued development and keeping his confidence up and giving him the knowledge of trying things and knowing when to pull the trigger and when not to. There's been moments this year where people haven't been critical of Toby because we've won games, where I've gone like he's missed moments for sure. But that's all part of his development. And I'd rather that in a system that we've got that can rely on possession and can rely on doing the work in a game, can take us a long way, and we've got enough strike to make teams pay at the end of it. You come up against a team, though, with a dynamic halfback who's got the ball all the time and has the workers and the hard ethic around them. They do get an edge on you, though, because they can play off the back foot sometimes. But people also got to remember, we can get off the back foot with a Matt Burton. And we've got players who can produce advantageous plays when we need it, when things aren't going our way. And it's not just one player. There's quite a few. Now, I don't know what anyone would be complaining about our attack too much. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I saw some pretty good tries yesterday and this year and last year even. Hey, you should have got a bigger cheer. I think you got a massive cheer. I was well, put it this way, I was screaming so loud, Scotty, that I didn't really realise, but it was a massive cheer. We had a great weekend, Scotty Wood. Good to see you, brother. Sexton to 9. He's bulked up well now, just bulk Lockie up with the Sexton diet. Yeah, well, they got Mitchy Woods bulking up as well. So they know what they're doing. It takes time. But yeah, Sexy's, he doesn't need to start at 9 at all. He'll be playing 7 this week. And Galvin will go to 6. If there's any issues with defence or whatever, they can move Hayward out, bring Turpin on, give Lockie a rest. I'm sure he could play Lockie anywhere in the back line, to be honest. He's fast enough. He's big enough. He's got a step. He can throw a ball. He can run the footy. When I say Galvin dominates, it's not really just him tearing them up. It's his movements off the ball, vision and throw. It's a different look for the defence, and they turn in and plant their feet. Yeah, but Paulie, they're also turning in and planting their feet because they were fatigued. And this is the thing that people keep. I've seen him do it in games, but when he goes out there and manages a game, he's not going to be doing it the same way early in a match. But he'll take on a defensive line on a fifth tackle and run a short side and create numbers. I've seen him do it. Toby doesn't do that enough. But Toby's under instruction probably not to do it. It's a very simplistic plan of doing all the simple things right. And they're getting taught that sort of stuff as well, especially in defence, how to not turn in, how to not to be called out. And that's the expectation they hold each other to as well. And I've seen them go at each other over it, which is a sign of a good side, which holds their mates to account. You fucking turned in, and we worked on that. You weren't supposed to go there. Why did you get sucked in? Oh, probably because he just tackled 3 fucking big blokes in a row and he was feeling a bit tired. And we'll see that with Lockie Galvin as well, because they will work him over and they will run at him and they'll smash him. But the good players, for me, Lockie Galvin's got to tackle with his shot. If he's going to be that guy that everyone's saying he is, he's going to have to do it without the ball as well, is the major point. And that's yet to be seen. And that's when people say he's unproven, I think that's a lot of what they're talking about. He hits with the shoulder consistently. What's he going to do when Ola Kawatu's running at him fresh in a game, when we're backtracking, conceded a penalty and a 6 again? Is he going to make that tackle? That's the question. Lachlan tips the square when he runs at the line. Kyle Fleming is the north to south. Very, very good point. And that's another good point about Isaiah Katoa, who's also doing that at a very it takes development, it takes knowledge of yourself, and it's easier said than done. I really like the way Galvin was able to do it, but the fatigue of the opposition also comes into account, because when they've got energy and they're out there, they're confident, they've got energy, they feel that they can defend what you're throwing at them. Lockie's going to cop it in the back, and the numbers, the shape will be there, but will it be as effective? Will Connor Tracy get on the outside of the halfback and then stick a a right arm in his face and then offload off his left. Who knows? G'day, Brian. Everyone tries to buy a premiership and we all have the same salary cap. Exactly, mate. 100%. Here he is. Good to see you, brother. It was great having a chat with you the other day too. He took all the fullback and centre talk personally and went out there and shown who is our current and long-term six. And it's great. Galvin can play there this week. If we have an injury, Galvin can slot in. Until, But that's what I said. He's our dominant half in our club, is Matt Burton. When he gets the call on the ball, he gets it. I see Jay Cochran as our future fullback. Yeah, good young player, man. But there's lots of them, man. And they've got a lot to do. It's not just their skill with the ball, their natural ability. It's how they can do the defensive stuff and get across and anticipate, for 80 minutes. It's the most demanding job, they reckon. Ciraldo always plays games with the team sheets, always gives the opposition a last-minute headache. He often does, but it's quite easy to see what he's going to do most of the time. I didn't expect the Toby thing, but I think this 17 will be the 17 that runs out. And I'm happy with it. I'm happy with that 17. It's the same balance, same roles as what we had this week, almost. Probably got one extra capable forward. Moran comes in. But Moran can play in that small lock role as well. Hayward can cover in their halves and cover our back line. Turpin can do that too. Hooker can play 7, play 13. Players can move around if need be. 2 teams coming in 2028 will lose a few good ones. Well, that's the whole point, Scotty, and that's probably the main reason why getting us a Lachlan Galvin was a high priority once it became an option. And that's why they've signed some really good young talent on some 2 and 3 year deals from our lower grades, SG Balls and stuff like that. Quite a few of them. That's why we got the Latu Finu from the Dragons. And it's why some players that we consider to be good as part of, even over the last few years, that, I was like, why would you let Paul Vaughan go? He's just been a top 6 prop consistently. Whether he's an idiot off the field, who knows? But he was so consistent over his whole career. I felt we could have used him, but no, for what they wanted and the salary cap and the discipline they wanted to bring to it, they let him go. And a whole heap of other players. He's bulking up real well and he's making those tackles. The best of Sexton is yet to come, still 4 to 5 years away, could be on the JMK trajectory. Yeah, well, he hasn't had the injuries that JMK had, and Jerry Marshall King was a manufactured hooker who had the vision and foresight of a 6 or a 7 coming through. So gets his body in behind, but he's been riddled with injuries his whole career, and he still is. So Toby, but I 100% agree, Mark, is 4 or 5 years away from his best football. And, I'd say Lachlan Galvin is at least that as well. There's no hurry. Very good headaches for Ciro. Yeah, he does. What did Maroon say on Triple M? He's seen adult actresses who are better performers than who don't act as well as Mitch. No, he goes, that's the worst acting I've ever seen. There's some adult actresses who act better than that. Go Brian again. Marnie body language said he knows it's going to be him. Maybe. But we don't know. We don't know what that's just a narrative we create. We see some footage in a room. He might have lost a family member. You don't know. Okay? We don't know. I do know. What I do know is he would have wanted to stay. He would have wanted to get an extension. That extension's probably not going to happen. And there's opportunities for him to earn some good cash and secure his future elsewhere. That's what I do know. I think Reed would be collateral damage. Maybe. You might be 100% right. And I probably think that as well. But collateral damage this year, I think it'll be part of our 17 for the rest of the season. I think his form dictates that. I think his ability dictates that. I think his toughness dictates that. And I think if we're to go anywhere near winning a premiership, he'll be an important part of that, especially early in games. And I felt his performance on the weekend was strong. There was a couple of times I was like, you should have went the other way. I've found that we're starting to see some really good middle stuff with him and Connor Tracy. So that stuff's starting to happen as well. But I'm going to get through this, guys. Go quickly through, not answer everything. Just have a listen to what you got to say. Then we're going to have to go. I've gone for way too long tonight, but I've enjoyed every minute of it. And thanks for being here with me. Needs to look after his future, so I can't hold that against him 100%. Matt Burton is a representative bridesmaid. He still gets the 30K. It's money for Jam. 100%. Like, his career is getting extended because he's playing less games, getting more money. Like, it's literally been worth an extra 60 grand a year for him so far. It's money for nothing. He deserves it. G'day, Tiam. Told you Montoya will have a solid game. I called it. He definitely did. So well done. A lot of people are going to looking past Montoya, and look, I think there's a use by date on his services. But you watch the New South Wales Cup game and you see the wingers in our game, although there was a lot of changes, but all season now they're doing so well in their development in lots of things, but the decision making, it doesn't help when you've got your middlemen inside for run out of puff a lot quicker, and the system's just not working as well, and they've got to make these choices, and they turn in when they should turn out, and vice versa, and keep sliding when they need to actually get in there and put their shoulder in, hang off when they need to come in, all that sort of stuff. It'd drive you crazy being a coach, but Montoya sort of proves that he's doing what the coach wants him to do, and that's why he's being picked every week. And this is the thing you would ask yourself. If you think it's the winger's fault that a try is scored, and maybe that happens a few times and they keep being picked, maybe there's something you don't know about. And maybe that's something you want to know about. And if you want to know about that stuff, I think you go and talk to a guy. We'll go follow like the Rugby League Coach podcast with Lee Addison, because he's a coach. He's coached at a very high level, and he'll teach you some things. He'll teach you when it's all right to blame the winger and when you probably shouldn't have. Drake, unfortunately about the rain early, crowd could have been even bigger. Looked like a great atmosphere. Yeah, it was really cold and that wind was coming. It was quite confronting for people living in Queensland for the last 20 years, but who were down there like myself. But I was fine. I rugged up. I knew it was going to be cold. Yeah, and I reckon you're right. Probably cost us at least 5,000. 5,000 people for sure. Monty bought the bang. He surely did. That was a good hit. Skelton had another big hit on the weekend as well too. Same part of the field. Mitch Woods had a solid debut in a cracker game. Yeah. I'll tell you what, the West tries they scored on that left edge. Brenton Hayden's a classy footballer. I don't care what anyone says. And I'm watching him this year in first grade. He's done a pretty good job. But, Stafford Toller and that other guy, Dewey, are just a bit better at the moment. Brian, I think we've been lacking the killer instinct. I think Galvin can change that. But, yes, his defence is a big question. I think at the end of the day, I think Gus and Ciraldo saw an opportunity to get one of the best young talent going, took it, and worked the rest out later. Perfectly well said, my friend. Wilson, the best winger in the club, is back this week. Notch up the win. As I said, he's probably the second best winger in New South Wales Cup at the moment. Oh, Tiam. Wilson's the worst winger in the club defensively. Every time he plays, all tries are scored on his side. Well, see, this is what I was saying, Tiam. I'll tell you now, the Critter will disagree with that. Critter's also on that side as well. It's not the winger's fault, is what I keep telling people. Sometimes it is. But the majority of the time, it's Critter's looking at first of all, the work from the middle. Then you got to make sure that your edge back rower isn't getting sucked into the middle too much and being overworked, so that then they can go down that short side and catch you, laying down in the marker. So there's so much shit that people just aren't looking at. For a lot of tries, it's a process to get there. It's not just, your winger fucked up, so we scored. No, that's not how it works. We made it so that your winger was going to be in a vulnerable position, that they were forced to make a choice. And it's a random choice a lot of the time. Okay? I think the centre has a lot more to do with it, and the positioning of your centre. If your centre's in too far sometimes, it makes the wrong choices. But a lot of the time, it just comes down that middle, what's happening with your edge, and then your halfback and edge working together as well, because often that edge back row is wanting to protect the half more so than the centre. So if they overplay their hand and misread the play, that can then just cause a kerfuffle. I mean, and that's happened numerous times, and there's been talk. I've heard people at the games and watching discussions go on after the TV's not showing, and I get all that information. People are really watching intently on every little sort of thing. Yeah, they tell each other what they expect. Toby, you were sucking in there, or what were you doing, Jacob? Yeah, sorry, mate, I'll fucking fix it. A lot of the time they own up to it and go, I fucked up, I messed up. Montoya and Anari are better. Fake news. Yeah, I don't know about that, Tiam. But I will say Montoya has got his position on that wing because the coach believes he's the best left winger in the club right now. And that's why he's there. Doesn't matter what anyone else says. It's what the coach says. Bulldogs have been awesome this year. Yeah, look, Anari Chihuahua, as I said when he was signed, he was like, whenever we played Newcastle, I was like, he tries hard, this guy. Like, he's got a good ethic. Gets in there, he runs the ball, he does all the stuff. But I always rated him as any player in our side that matched up against him, I rated our person better. That's just me, though. He didn't look out of place in New South Wales Cup, but his first game back, let's see how he goes. Waz HQ, Bulldogs have been awesome this year. Thank you. Good to see you, brother. And I can't wait for the Dogs and the Waz to play each other, because the Waz have been equally awesome this year as well. You like Wilson's attack and speed, but he doesn't break lines and make post contact compared to Montoya. Well, actually, Montoya definitely had the post contact, and I'd say that was his best game on the weekend. Having the 18-day break helped him, enabled him to hit the contact well, and he got to wind up. If Montoya doesn't get to wind up and he's not off a good play of the ball from, say, Jacob Carrez, I always say he's better when Carrez is out there than Wilson. But Wilson's taken that first hit up most of the time, not Montoya. And Blake Wilson's actually making more post contact than people realise, and not getting dumped on his ass too often. So he's been equally pretty good this year. I'm not going to say anything other than that. I think he's done his job well. He's playing on the right wing, and Carrez is our first choice right winger. Wilson's our second choice right winger. Montoya's our first choice left winger. And there you go. Doggies Warriors final. That will be 100,000. That will be an 83,000 crowd at a core stadium if that is the case. I think Galvin backup game is going to bring us more tries. Potentially, the support to score is there, but you're always also going to have more support when you've got fresh players come on the field and the other team's completely fatigued and you're running downhill. Context is everything to me. But yeah, I think the support play of a young, enthusiastic fella, especially coming off the bench, you're definitely going to see more of that. Is he going to do that after 80 minutes? Keep pushing up? Hopefully. Barbar used to. Galvin vs Metcalf in the finals game, I'd pay to watch this live. I think Metcalf's got a few more years on Galvin, and as I was saying, I put out a shopping list a couple of years ago, and Luke Metcalf was the first half on my list, and he was actually injured at the time. Came back and got injured again. He was quite a prodigy. You know, the Sharks are pretty pissed off that he got away. Warriors play good money to get him. We'll see what happens. 2012 repeat. I don't know. Storm have got to go up about 3 or 4 levels. I think they've got the spine to do it, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Storm. Some pretty talented young fellas with a lot of confidence that are coming through, and they're getting much better depth in their lower grades. Hopefully we make it. Wires are building nicely. Can't be discounted under Webster. Very, very true. Husey loves our club. I think Warriors towards the end of the season. Actually, I can have a look at that now. What round is it? Round 23, Saturday, 9th of August at a core stadium. Not here to care or talk about the Wars. Reed doesn't give us enough running danger. Great defensive, great early pick, but we need that extra attacking option. Well, as I said, having a creative hooker is dependent on what the balance of the spine, the balance of the team. Some teams don't want it. Some teams need it. I think Reed wants to be a creative hooker. I really do. As an 80-minute, I think if he changed his game slightly to be a 60-minute hooker, he could do that stuff well. He ran a lot with the ball at in 2023. Hardly ran it at all at Parramatta. But you gas yourself when you're doing that. Everything you do has a consequence. as far as your petrol tank goes. And that's just the way it is. So, some players, they don't want them running the ball. Some coaches, some teams. Penrith don't want a hooker out of dummy half that's running the footy, especially early in the game. So Mitch Kenny's on there. They don't want him running the footy. But the guy comes on later when things are softened up and the fatigue's in the game. They want someone to run the ball, which is, Sonny Luke stops getting injured. He could do that role for them, but they're quite happy for Cleary to just get the ball on his chest whenever he wants it. G'day, Tahi. Welcome. Thank you for supporting the channel again, mate. Great to see you. Very too easy. Very too early. 100%. Dogs will make the 8. I know that. That's about all I know. He'll play the role he's told like the others. As a Warriors fan, we give you guys credit for being the informed team of the comp, but discrediting the Wars is just diabolical. I don't think you've been discredited, brother. I think I think the call was that they don't see he's making the grand final. After the first game in Vegas, I actually wrote the Warriors off. I was like, no, that was diabolical. But I actually, at the same time, I said, and Mark will back me up, that I believe the Raiders have a very good chance of having a really good season. But what the Warriors have done since then has been nothing short of satisfying for Warriors fans and for the competition. And Bulldogs fans should know, right? If the Dogs can win the comp this year, so can the Warriors. It's just hard for an Australian team to see the Warriors ever winning. It's like a lot of Australians would love the Warriors to get to the grand final. If they're playing a team that we hate, they'll be definitely barracking for the Warriors as like our second team. But I don't know. I always sort of want the Warriors to do well. But then when we play them, I just want them to get flogged. But yeah, man, Webster's over there. He's got the Gus Gould influence. They've definitely got a more mobile workman pack. That started last year. I think Johnson leaving the side's been a good thing for him. Tuivasa-Sheck, another season there. You got some good players with a lot of heart, play hard and fast. You've got kids that are come through and developed from the system and are really passionate Warriors footballers. And there's a real, there's more resilience in their game that I haven't seen. There's more patience. And we saw that a couple of years ago when they made the prelim. So, I'm not discrediting them at all. And I don't think people are. People see the Raiders and the Storm as probably a bigger threat to the comp. But that's all right. The Warriors, people can think that. And then the Warriors can pull their pants down. Because, I don't know, that win against the Sharks in Australia at Shark Park, the way they won it, cannot be undervalued. You're right, Waz, and we love the Warriors too. People will see anyone but Storm in the finals. I hate the Storm. Fuck them. I keep Daniel Max on Sam are too similar. If anything, I'm happy it's not Broncos or Melbourne up there. I'm happy for the Bulldogs. Thanks, brother. Yeah, he did, Brian. He fought it and won. He fought the law and he won. Danny's playing better than Sam currently, and that's why he's in the side, but we knew that. Oh, Daniel's like a feeder, 100%. Thanks, Tay. He did. Hope Toby Second stays with the club. He's been instrumental to the Dogs reinventing culture. I think he's been on that journey himself. Things come easily on the coast. Well, it's not as hard. So to come in, he's been a bit of a lucky charm, or winning when he come in, won the first game. Guys, so many comments here, and honestly, I'm not going to get to them all. So I'm going to go from the bottom. Timmy's expecting the Dragons to flog the Sharks, so I could see 40 points again this week. 12 wins generally for top 8, 30 points for 3 buys. Yep. We'll win 3 more games. I'm going from the bottom up. G'day, Luke. Welcome to the show. Sorry I couldn't talk too much. I'm just going through these because I actually have to go. Guys, it's a system that wins for the Bulldogs, and it's resilience, it's toughness. It's players that want to be in our squad and in our team. G'day, Jason. Can't wait. Wilson is a left wing and AJ is a right winger. Look out. Well, Wilson's playing right wing, brother. Wilson plays on the right wing, right-hand side of the field, heading forward. Montoya's on the left. Yeah, I could see that as well, Matt. Good point. Yeah, he will be released early because he'll get a release. But I think he will go to the Cowboys. I don't think he's going on a 1-year deal and then another one. I think he'll get a 3-year deal. But we'll see what happens. Certainly does. Sure you can make it to the game this week, Mick. I can't see how Coach saying it's safe if you see an opportunity, don't take it. No, but what I am saying is, look, they're safe to fail, but they've got a system in place, and you'll notice that they run through their sets, they run through their moves, and teams when they've got that, when the fatigue isn't in the game yet, the opportunities haven't really arisen too much. We keep the ball in play. If teams start to flounder, yeah, take advantage of it. But for the most part, it's going set for set. Keep turning it in. Throw, do the moves that we're doing. Take the option you got to take. You're going to run, you're going to kick, you're going to pass here. So you've got 3 choices. Are you going to run to the space? Or are you going to give early ball to Critter? Are you going to give early ball to that person? Are you going to run supports and decoys on here? Like, they've got a system. It's their job to play heads-up footy because it's part of your role. But if you're going to sit there and see an opportunity, and one thing you'll notice about our side, there's not too many times now where it's a situation where no one can kick. There's no one there to kick the footy. But that was happening to us all the time, consistently. We get to 5th tackle and, the half wouldn't even be there to kick the footy because people have just done their thing. Like, there's a lot of, some say it's robotic, but there's a lot of system and manufacturing of a game plan and how to get there where you're then able to take advantage of the opportunities from there. And teams are so good now at really making you work hard to get your points. So I don't think it's Toby, and that's why I've seen Toby at hooker. When you got less time to think about it, and you get to you can see what the halfback can see, and you get down there early, you got the ball, less time to think, go with what you sort of see, and you'll find he's going to make a lot of the right choices and bring people onto the ball, and then follow the play, which keeps him there and more active. And because he's on the ball at the hooker, he's always in the play, which is another thing, which makes it he's more dynamic. There's more Toby, and he's on the ball and he's with the ball. and he's given the ball, he's feeding it wherever it's going, and everything's happening because in that last 20 minutes, they're so fatigued. Okay? Everyone in our side was full of energy, right? It's not the same. It's not the same early in a game. And maybe that is where a Lachlan Galvin or someone like that has that little bit of extra in their attack and in their natural ability just to sum that situation up differently and go bang. But if they fuck it up and it puts us under sufferance for ages and we're unable to then back it up with the defence, then that's when things become a problem. Kurt Mann's playing the best for his life, 100%. We just need a good halfback to make us a serious threat, and Galvin will be that guy. Well, I hope so. Maybe. I still think he's going to be years off. And I don't want that pressure to be on him, Luke. Like, I'm sure he doesn't care at this point. I just think it's too quick to be putting it all or nothing on him and saying the player we've got isn't going to get it done. They sure have, old fella Dave. I was making that point numerous times. I've said it on here. I've said it to mates on the chat groups. They went and got Gutho Holmes, Damien Cook, David Clemmer, Raymond Fatala Mariner, Flanagan. They got outcasts in spine positions. Outcasts in spine positions. Experienced players in spine positions. And we went and signed up one of the youngest up and coming talents coming through. All right, guys. 100% Timmy. Yeah, Matty, that's a nice thing for AJ as well. But as Gus said, Gus reckons he would have scored 200 tries on the left edge at South Sydney. Timmy. It's great meeting you as well, Timmy. He sure is. He sure is. I think Hayward's also, I think his grandfather or someone was a tough old bastard. Well, that's what you want. You want everyone playing. This is what I actually said, Luke, at one point. This will be the last thing I say tonight. When they talk about leaders at our club on the training paddock, those players, Birdo, Tracy, I'll say Kickow, Crichton, Montoya, these players that come to our club, Drew Hutchison, right? They train as if they're all about to lose their spot. That's how hard they train. They're all trying to lead the team with the way they train. So they're driving the standard up continuously. And they're excited about it. They look forward to doing it. And they do it. And the young guys some of them are getting ahead of them in those departments, and they don't like it. So it's keeping them honest. They're all keeping each other honest. And we've done that here tonight. We've kept each other honest, and I have to go. because I've gone about an hour and a half over the time I wanted to go. But I've had a really good night and I've enjoyed all the interaction. And thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. Love to use all. Great win, 26 points, top of the ladder. Are we 24 or 26? Doesn't really matter because Parramatta lost and we won. That's all that matters. I'll talk to you shortly, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great night and we will see you soon. Go the Dogs.